What's going on, everybody? Today we are at Mount Sinai Cemetery in Los Angeles. Now, you've probably seen some of the other videos from Forest Lawn, Hollywood Hills, which is just on the other side of the fence over here. Now, today we're going to be paying tribute to America's dad, Bob Saget. Now, Bob Saget, most people probably know Bob as Danny Tanner from Full House, America's Funniest Home Videos. A lot of us probably know a little bit about his stand-up, but he was actually a pretty foul-mouthed, filthy comic, but he was a good spirit, a good soul. Everybody that knew him had good things to say. He treated the fans with respect. He was always just a really, really nice guy. People trusted him, people confided in him, and overall he was just a really, really good guy. So let's go and I'll tell you a little bit more about him. Bob Saget. What else can we say about Bob Saget? Well, he was born in Philadelphia in 1956, and he was a comedy, I guess we could say a comedy legend. He was known for Danny Tanner from Full House. He was known for his stand-up comedy. He was host of America's Funniest Home Videos. Everybody knew who Bob Saget was. He was one of those kind of people that when he passed away, you never thought about Bob Saget dying. It was a real shock when you saw it come across the news feed. He was only 65 years old, which is not very old. I mean, he had no health problems that nobody knew about. He was doing a podcast. He was still very active in the public life. He was on tour with his stand-up comedy, and the night before he passed away, he was actually performing in Florida. He was playing a show at a place called the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall, and I'll put a couple pictures in here as we tell the story. Bob Saget loved stand-up comedy. He was on tour. He routinely did concerts and performances around the country. But at this particular show, he posted a couple times before the show and after the show on his social media. He posted a picture of himself at the venue before the show, which I'll insert here, as well as a couple other pictures. But he also posted on Twitter about how much he enjoyed the show, and this was after the show, just a couple hours before getting back to the Ritz Carlton in Orlando. Now, I'll put in a picture here, too, that's a selfie from a worker from the Ritz Carlton that ended up being the final photograph of Bob Saget alive. And this is the Ritz Carlton in Orlando, Florida. This is the hotel Bob Saget was staying at. Bob was staying in room 962 at the Ritz Carlton, and I'm going to put in a couple pictures here that were taken of the scene by the Orange County Sheriff's Office and then released after the fact. The autopsy report said that Saget had blunt force trauma to the head from an accidental blow to the back of his head, most likely caused from a fall, and then he went to bed thinking nothing of it and just didn't wake up. Now, his body was found January 9th of 2022, and they ended up having his funeral on January 14th, and he was laid to rest here at Mount Sinai Memorial Park Cemetery, just a stone's throw away from Forest Lawn, Hollywood Hills. But this is the final resting place of Bob Saget. And this really was one of the most unexpected deaths that happened that year. May 17th, 1956 to January 9th, 2022. Loving and devoted husband, father, son, uncle, brother, and friend. The very bottom says, he brought people together and made them laugh. A very great man. Bob Saget was just a fantastic guy, a great family man, a great friend, a really entertaining guy. He was a legendary comedian. And, on a personal note, he was always just a really, really great guy. If you ever encountered him, and I did on several occasions, he always took time to talk to fans, if you just happened upon him in a restaurant or out in Los Angeles at any point, he would always talk to you. He would tell you jokes. He would ask about you. He had a genuine interest in getting to know people and getting to know who you were as a person. And that's something that I'll always remember about him. And that's something that everyone that knew him would also say about him. He was a very outgoing guy. He was somebody that that you felt like you knew forever, and somebody that you felt like you could tell your deepest secrets to, and that he would not judge you. But you know, from my perspective, that's kind of my takeaway from it. But this was kind of a difficult one to do because I loved Bob Saget. I grew up on Full House, and there's a lot of really interesting people still buried in the cemetery, and I'm still going to do a couple more videos here. But I just wanted to stop by and pay my respects to Bob Saget and tell you a little bit about the story and show you some of the photos of where some of these things happened. So hopefully you enjoyed this video today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.